If teachers are to instill in their learners the 4IR skills they need in order to succeed, the teachers need to be properly trained in digital literacy themselves. They need to incorporate technology into their teaching so that both they and their learners are prepared for a future we can't yet predict. This journey needs to begin when teachers are still students, which is why UJ's Faculty of Education recently established the UJ Scratch Coding Club. Scratch is a visual programming language that uses stories, games, and animations to teach learners how to experiment, think creatively, reason critically, and work together. With this knowledge in hand, UJ's future teachers can pass on these critical 4IR skills to the young lives they teach. Our club has equipped us with the digital literacy expertise we need to transfer to our learners. Says Michelle Kumalo, one of the club's facilitators. We can't not teach like this.
With the onset of the pandemic, the University of Johannesburg, like many other institutions, implemented a recess that led to students' departure to their respective homes. Teaching was paused while academics prepared for an emergency remote teaching and learning. During this full lockdown period, Mr. Linford Mulaudi, a lecturer in ICT Enhanced Learning in the Department of Childhood Education, started an informal online Scratch coding club for pre-service teachers at the Faculty of Education. Creating an informal Scratch coding club was inspired by student teachers' request for a program that could address the anxieties, isolation, and boredom they experienced during the lockdown period. The feedback from the student teachers was overwhelmingly positive. The lessons learned during the implementation of the informal club informed the formal establishment of the project, now that we call the Creative Coding at the UJ Faculty of Education, in the second semester of 2020. This was simultaneously conceptualized as a research project.
Currently, our work has 5 components, and that's Creative Coding Club, offered to UJ Final Year Bachelor of Education and Postgraduate Certificate in Education Pre-Service Teachers, Creative Coding for Teachers, and this is for in-service teachers in South African schools, a short learning program on coding and robotics for in-service teachers, UJ associated creative coding clubs, and researching the creative coding and robotics work that we do.
Why do we teach creative coding to teachers? The interest of the Faculty of Education in teaching creative coding to teachers using the graphical programming language known as Scratch stems from wanting to prepare teachers for a rapidly changing world, mainly due to the exponential advancements in technology, including artificial intelligence, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, also known as 4IR. To us, this implies moving beyond the mastery of content knowledge through deliberately including competencies and literacies for a fast-changing world in the teacher education, which include creative and innovative thinking, critical thinking and communication, as well as collaboration, computational thinking, and digital literacy. Why do we like Scratch? Scratch allows for experimentation, rapid prototyping, and continual revision of projects through graphical programming blocks. In addition, it allows users to construct diverse types of projects, including stories, games, animations, and simulations. It also allows for collaborative creation through remixing of projects and critiquing each other's projects with a view to improve or develop the projects. The affordances of the graphical programming language Scratch resonated with the faculty's quest to prepare teachers for teaching in the fast-changing world. Coding through Scratch allows for developing the 4 C's. Also, through learning Scratch, teachers develop digital fluency, and Scratch is widely used as a teaching tool. This is important because ultimately, our focus is to contribute to the professional development of student teachers and pre-service teachers. The lessons learned during the Scratch Coding Club iterations since 2020 and due to the broad interest that the in-service teachers showed resulted in the expansion of the project to in-service teachers. We established the Creative Coding for Teachers to create opportunities for in-service teachers to learn creative coding in tandem with teaching curriculum themes and other competencies for a changing world. The Creative Coding at UJ Faculty of Education aims to achieve the following objectives: Firstly, teach participating teachers to code using Scratch. Then develop participants' competencies of collaboration, critical thinking, and communication, as well as creativity. Next, guide and support the teachers to use Scratch for teaching. Model to participants how Scratch can be facilitated should they want to start with Scratch coding clubs at schools. And lastly, advise participating teachers on how to set up a Scratch coding club. Scratch Coding Club. This club is offered to Bachelor of Education 4th year as well as PGCE pre-service teachers. Although pre-service teachers are introduced to coding in the University of Johannesburg formal teacher education programs, we wanted to create an additional opportunity outside the formal teacher education curriculum for pre-service teachers who show interest. And please note, participation is voluntary, so to develop competencies for a rapidly changing world. This is what our student teachers had to say.
My name is Kiara Balochan. My experience in the Scratch Coding Club has been nothing but fruitful. It was my escape on Saturday mornings. I would wait the entire week just to meet the facilitators and the rest of my peers in the Scratch Coding Club. The conversations that we engaged in were so fruitful and had so much of meaning, and we never knew that learning was actually taking place. Through our conversations, we often found ourselves laughing and joking about the projects that we were making, but little did we know we were collaborating on a different level. The creativity that these conversations sparked were magnificent. I can't tell you how much I've learned from this, how much I've learned to deal with people as well as collaborate with others. It has broadened my thinking to an extent where I didn't even know I was actually engaging in critical thinking. So for me, it was part of me becoming a teacher in the fourth industrial revolution, as I was learning about the 4 C's without actually learning about the 4 C's. So creativity was definitely sparked. Collaboration with the facilitators as well as my peers was done on every Saturday that we met. When we came to creativity, we were often given the platform to do as we please. We were told, okay, this is what we're doing today, but nothing really too formal. And I think that has helped a lot in terms of sparking our creativity. As a pre-service teacher, we often are afraid to bring up new ideas into a classroom. We don't understand how we're going to collaborate or how we're going to bring in critical thinking skills into our classroom. But for me, from seeing that open-ended questioning, open conversation led to developing these skills. So as a teacher, I would definitely want to implement such an environment in my classroom where everything is open, where there's open discussions, where there's conversation that keeps flowing, because that, I feel, is where my creativity was sparked, and it's definitely something I would love to bring into my classroom one day. The Creative Coding Club for me was definitely fun, full of energy, which was something that sparked my personality. I felt so welcome in this little family that we've created. So definitely something that was fun, but yet very educational for me. I think that pre-service teachers should join our creative coding clubs simply to upskill yourself, to have fun, to learn in the most creative, the most fun way. So if you want to upskill yourself, coding is one of the ways, but if you want to also learn skills like collaboration, creativity, communication skills, being online gives you a new take on the digital world. So those are all skills that you can take back from just being a part of our creative coding clubs, and I think you should join.
Hi everyone, my name is Ntombaisi Mhlongo. I'm a former BEd student at the University of Johannesburg, was also part of the Scratch coding cohort of 2021. I'm Funju Ngasho. Being part of Scratch has been such a great experience. It has been such a learning journey. Because when I first joined Scratch, I had this perception that coding is not for everyone. Coding is for your maths and sciences people, you know. But when I heard that UJ was introducing Scratch coding for student teachers, I just decided to go on with it, and I just said, if I die, I die. Let me just see what's going to happen. And surprisingly so, it was not what I thought it was. It was not what I thought it was. We got this user-friendly app. We got very supportive tutors, and we also were supportive as fellow students as well. They were very, very supportive. The classes were always exciting, you know. There was nothing to be grumpy about after that class, because they were always support, like they were always exciting, you know. So I'm just grateful I had decided to join Scratch, you know. I didn't solely at all, you know. So it has also taught me that as a teacher you have to be creative, you know. Yeah, it shouldn't always be your chalk and talk. It shouldn't always be about textbooks. Just bring something new to the classroom. Excite the learners. Because I've always believed that if learners are excited about learning, that's actually when they learn. And like John Dewey says, that if we teach our children the way we were taught, we are denying our children of the future. So right now, I think Scratch is the way to go, because you don't only Scratch alone as a teacher, but you can Scratch together with your class. They can share their projects with their fellow learners, and the learning process can just be successful and exciting at the same time, you know. So yeah, I'm just grateful that Scratch is now a part of me, is now a part of my life.
Creative coding for teachers. This is for in-service teachers in South African schools. In-service teachers' participation is also free. However, those who wish to earn a certificate of successful completion are required to register formally for a university-accredited short learning program, which focuses on creative coding and robotics for teaching. Now let's listen to some reflections from in-service teachers that completed the program.
My name is Samuel Ngakwana. I live in Mafikeng in the Northwest Province. I did Scratch coding and robotics with the Faculty of Education with the University of Johannesburg. I knew about coding and robotics, but the training that we received from Scratch coding, the buddies, the team, the facilitators, it was so great. That is where we learned how to code, even though I knew there was something called coding and robotics. But my involvement in the faculty my involvement in the training, it opened my eyes, it opened my understanding of what coding was and how can I inculcate it in the classroom. I am a technology teacher, so with this training from the University of Johannesburg with this team, it taught me how to inculcate coding and robotics and Scratch coding into my teaching and learning. For instance, today I'm able to use Scratch coding for my lessons. If I'm able to set lessons and make learners work on it, implement their ideas using Scratch coding. So with our involvement in training that we received from the Faculty of Education, we learned a lot about Scratch coding, and also we learned from the background, the theories of Scratch coding. We learned about Mitchell Resnick and the 4 P's of creative learning. So all those things have had a very positive influence in my teaching. And also with the buddies, I learned how to make music. I learned how to make a lot of things, such as cartoons. And those things, they attract the mind of the learners into the classroom. Since I've started inculcating this Scratch coding and robotics in my classroom, there is less learners who are being absent. There's less absenteeism. There is less, because most learners are truant. They go from home, but they never get to school. But since I've inculcated this thing, the learners are always at school and they love this thing. They are always in my class.
Hi buddies, my name is Mokgeti and I teach at UJ Metropolitan Academy. I teach African languages and social sciences. So I would like to share my experience with the CCT program. The program was nice, it was great, it was amazing. I learned a lot from it. So we also got support from the facilitators. They helped us to improve our teaching styles. What I learned from the project is that usually we would read stories for the learners in class, since it's the language, or when we're looking at language, usually it's more reading and reading. But with the project, it helped us to be able to incorporate technology into our learning area or into the African languages. So we were able to create stories as well as games for fun, sometimes in class, using the scratch coding, and it enhanced my teaching in a very good way, because now I was able to move with the times. So there's no more old traditional teaching, so there's more of the 4IR in the teaching field. So yeah, I would encourage teachers to actually take the CCT program so that they can improve themselves and to make the learning space very fun. Thank you.
Short Learning Program, also known as an SLP, Coding and Robotics for In-Service Teachers. Teachers in the Short Learning Program are exposed to the fundamentals, which include concepts and frameworks that underpin coding with Scratch and educational robotics. Teachers also receive additional guidance and support using the University Learning Management System, also known as Blackboard. At the end of the Short Learning Program, teachers are required to submit a portfolio of evidence of their learning trajectory. These reflections are being done while teachers are working in the Short Learning Program. The portfolio will include tasks done during the unfolding of the SLP, reflections and artifacts produced, accompanied by explanations of the artifact's purpose, rationale, and perceived value. There is a fee associated with the Short Learning Program. Let us now hear from some of our teachers who participated in the Short Learning Program.
Hey guys, it's Andrina here. Well, my overall experience of Creative Coding for Teachers program was that teachers need to be developed and be equipped with skills that are relevant into their society. That teachers need to be seen as people who are willing to adapt to change, be advanced, be innovative, and also be able to instill creativity in a classroom situation. So the Creative Coding program, it was mainly to help us as teachers in order to be able to enhance and prompt the learner's creative thinking and problem analytical thinking skill. Hence, we were introduced to a program called the Scratch program that allowed us to be able to showcase our creative skill and innovative skill. Hence, this skill is the coding skill is very much relevant in a 21st century classroom, because it is one that will help learners to develop their computational skills and also help them also to be able to develop as programmers of the near future. So the Creative Coding program, it was more of just giving educators a teaching strategy that will be helpful and user-friendly in classroom situation, as we are actually preparing ourselves and our learners for the 4th Industrial Revolution, having to be able to equip learners not only with the knowledge but also with the special skill that will help them to be, relevant and be developed and as competent and skilled individuals for the changing society. The other thing is that I enrolled for a short learning program which is known as the Coding and Robotics, Creative Coding and Robotics. Now this program is a little bit different from the Creative Coding program, such that this one we get to be exposed and enlightened more on other tools that we can use as teachers in a classroom environment to help cultivate the creative thinking ability of learners and prepare them for them to be able to be ready for this changing world, acquiring the knowledge and skill that will make them to be competent and relevant programmers of the near future. So the SLP, it was one program that also needed us to be able to apply our creative coding ability, or that the coding skill that we had when we were using Scratch program. But in this instance, we actually used this the same kind of application, but the difference was only the software that we use for us to be able to code the actual robot, rather than when we were using Scratch, because Scratch actually required us to be able to only use the commands wherein we only commanded the artifacts in order for them to be able to do what you expected them to do. But with the SLP program, we were given some sort of literature that also enlightened us more about ways and strategies that we can use in the classroom situation that will help our learners to be stimulated and enhance for them to acquire skills that are relevant for this changing world. So I would encourage other educators to take part in the creative coding for teachers and also robotics, because it is all about having to prepare ourselves in the education system or fraternity to actually be ready, in the sense that we get to be able to instill the knowledge and also the skill, which is very much relevant in this radically changing world, such that our learners are going to be seen as people or individuals who are very much competent and potential individuals who are very much skilled.
Hello buddies, my name is Spangile Mapikitla. I'm here to tell you about my fantastic experience I had with CCT program. Where do I even start? It was an amazing journey. I remember I had great, or more than, what do I even call them? Well, those guys were fantastic. My facilitators. They were there to support me each and every step of the way. I remember every Saturday when you're struggling with something, you don't know how to move a sprite or command it to do something, those girls always be there to help you out. And the collaboration I had with other buddies from outside Gauteng, it was so great. I realized that teamwork is everything. But what have I learned from the program? Amazing. I think as a language teacher, I realized that Scratch coding is not only meant for people who are good at maths or people who are in science subjects. With us language teachers, we also feature in there, because I realized that I can always use Scratch coding in my classroom. Say for instance, when I'm teaching creative writing, I can always challenge students to think beyond what they see or beyond the topic they have, and then have fun using Scratch to challenge their own ideas. It was fantastic. I loved it. So I would say to other teachers, I think it's high time that you do this. This is one of the best tools that we have. We should make use of it, and you're welcome to join, because you know what? We should make learning fun.
My name is Shewin, a science facilitator from Andon Lembede MST Academy. I'm just here to give you my experience after completing two notable courses with UJ, notably the Creative Coding for Teachers as well as the Short Learning Program. I believe that after hearing this information, you are going to be one of the partakers, considering the value in which they carry, especially to the current educator. Right, maybe to begin with, let me just say to you that after completing the creative coding for teachers, to me it brought a lot of change. I'm actually a totally changed educator. The way in which I deliver lessons currently and what I used to do before, there is a very big change. Maybe to begin with, let me just give you the background information about that. The type of tutors and the peers, they are actually wonderful peers. The type of teachers whom we were actually interacting with upon doing the project development, especially during Scratch, as well as considering the type of tutors, very young, talented, energetic tutors. You can't wait to meet such tutors, and you can't wait for such lessons, for each and every session, you'll be saying, when is Saturday going to come? Simply because of the type of interactions and the type of content which they actually deliver. So currently at my institution, they call me a science scratcher, and you know why? It's because about 70% of my lessons currently they are coded, and I make sure that I am infusing science in scratch coding so that at least we can undo the aspect of simply saying the subject is actually a bit difficult, because I do believe that it's one of the most easiest subjects, but now infusing scratch into it makes everything easy. There came another aspect of the short learning program. You know what? This is one of the most important programs which each and every teacher must partake. Why? Because it brought completion to almost everything. Everything which does not make sense after doing the short learning program is going to make sense to you. Trust me in that. I'm actually going to single out the aspect of literature which we indulged in. We studied the aspect all the writings by Michel Resnick, and in this case I'm singling out the aspect of 5 P's as well as the creative learning spiral, and I believe that we can't wait for that. Of course, I'm not going to say all of them here, but to me it makes sense. It actually completes almost everything, which are all the unanswered questions in the teaching and learning. Upon indulging in that literature, then you understand the main reason why we really need to embark on them. One of the most aspects which is actually very important is the aspect of robotics. They also taught us robotics, and trust me, I'm in a position of solving highly complex problems, not only solving them, but also to design the most complicated system which can simplify things in the real life situation. So to me, the aspect of the short learning program as well as the creative coding for teachers, it only serves one purpose, which is to undo the traditional ways of teaching and introducing the current ways. Remember, traditionally, where learners are forced to just memorize for them to pass, but using these systems, learners will be now in a position of being creative as well as developing their projects. And trust me, the type of project development which they are doing is quite current, and it makes the lessons funny, engaging, as well as very cooperative. And trust me, I believe that you are going to be one of the most candidates. Till we meet next again, I believe that all is well. Love you so much. All from Sherwood. Thank you.
UJ associated creative coding clubs. The main purpose of this community of practice is to support teachers who establish scratch coding clubs in their schools. Teachers will be in conversation with one another. Experienced facilitators of the creative coding at UJ Faculty of Education will provide support. We meet once a month. We are also researching the creative coding and robotics work that we do. How participation is facilitated and supported. The sessions, meetings with the facilitators take place online on Saturday mornings. In addition, facilitators are available in different time slots during the week to support the participants who require help or assist them with catch-up sessions should they miss a Saturday meeting.
So we are not only learning together and having fun together, we also conduct research, and the research has different components. We explore how student teachers' participation and the practicing teachers' participation in the club contributes to their professional development. We also explore if and how a sample of practicing teachers use Scratch in their teaching. We also conduct case studies of Scratch coding clubs established in selected schools to understand the challenges and successes of setting up the clubs from the teachers' perspectives and to study what learners are gaining through their participation. The research is mainly conducted with PhD, Masters and Honours students.
Collaborations. Prof. Sarah Graffett, Prof. Jacqueline Batchelor, and Mr. Linford Mulawudi visited the lifelong kindergarten group MIT Medialab under the leadership of Prof. Mitch Resnick at the beginning of 2020, before the onset of the pandemic. The purpose of this visit was to learn more about Scratch and to pursue a possible collaboration. During this time, a good relationship was established, and we have been collaborating with the lifelong kindergarten group since then, mainly supported by Ms. Rupal Jain. We encourage all teachers in South Africa to watch out for updates about new registrations every year or semester and sign up for creative coding at the UJ Faculty of Education. Please follow us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Creative Coding at UJ Faculty of Education. On Twitter, we are creative_UJEDU. And on Instagram, creativecoding_UJ Education.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.